Welcome to Superhero Pow. I'm your host nerd, Tom Fremgen. Okay, everyone has seen Avengers Endgame now, so we can finally really dig into it. And by dig into it, I mean, what the hell was that? Now don't get me wrong, I'm not here to bash Endgame. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's as good as any of the Marvel movies, which have all been at various levels of great to me. Seriously, I enjoyed the hell out of Thor: The Dark World. So not every movie needs to be as bulletproof as the Infinity War was. But that's kind of the problem with Endgame too. Infinity War was frickin' perfect. I can't think of any way to make it better. Therefore, Endgame, well, just looks a little weak in comparison. But moreover, unlike Infinity War, Endgame does have a serious flaw. First off, again, great film, loved it. But when you set up the story logic, several times I might add, that you can't change the past to change the present.
Are you seriously telling me that your plan to save the universe is based on Back to the Future? Is it? No. Good, you had me worried there, because that'd be...
If you travel to the past, that past becomes your future, and your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed by your new future.
Exactly.
So Back to the Future is a bunch of bullshit.
Then you just can't go ahead and do it then. Okay, Thanos went into the future to change the present, or something. But the same principles apply, because, okay, last warning, you all saw it, right? Even you in the back? Okay, good. Because how or why do the Avengers collect all the Infinity Stones to bring back everyone Thanos killed when Thanos dies before collecting them so he never killed anyone? Seriously, what the hell, Russo brothers? Did someone say Bryan Singer's Days of Future Past makes no sense, and you replied, hold my beer, our beers? Because at the end of Endgame, none of the events in the Infinity War can take place. Endgame has got to be the biggest time paradox creating film ever made. And as a consolation prize, all the Marvel heroes are now fat, old, crippled, and dead. So, thanks for that, I guess. And while we're at it, how is Nebula still around after killing her younger self? And how is Gamora still around? When Iron Man dusted Thanos and his entire army, he never met Gamora, so how would he know to save her? And with Loki never imprisoned on Asgard, how do the events in the Dark World play out now? And you're telling me Captain America just gave up being a hero for 50-some years, doing nothing but Peggy Carter, and they have no kids? And really, every single person Spider-Man knows doesn't suffer from the 5-year gap.
Well, yes.
Ned also went away.
You know, anybody who's still the same age as Peter Parker went away as well. And kids with backpacks in that school are all kids who went away and now are back at school, or kids who were, 9 years old when the snap happened and now they're freshmen.
Just look at Anthony giggling at this, and how Joe just blows it off like, it's a movie, shut up. They know how stupid this is. But you talented and beautiful men, if you had only called me. Please stand back as my head starts to swell, because I will now outline how Endgame should have ended. First off, we leave everything the same, up until the point where the Avengers return to the present with all 6 Infinity Stones. Except 3 caveats. 1, Tony mentions a plan B. 2, Tony creates 6 devices that can hold Infinity Stones so the Avengers can carry them when they go back in time. And 3, Nebula doesn't change places with her future self. Thanos returns future Nebula to the future with a memory wipe. Then, when all the Avengers return from the past, they get a moment to mourn Black Widow, and then that's when Thanos attacks. But it's not Thanos from the past, it's Thanos from the here and now. What? He's dead, you say? Nope, Thanks to the Avengers going back in time, Thanos knew how to avoid his own death. Knowing the Avengers would believe him, thanks to Nebula, he lies about destroying the stones, and then using the Reality Stone, he lets them believe Thor has killed him. Boom. Plus, this means pre-Infinity Gauntlet Thanos knows where all the stones are. So while this clearly helps him be so successful in the Infinity War, he still has to let the future play out or risk screwing it all up, including letting the Avengers go back in time, or else he would know none of this. This is all revealed when Thanos attacks the Avengers with the Infinity Gauntlet. But Tony Stark has a trick up his sleeve. All the devices he created to hold the Infinity Stones also allows the Avengers to use the full power of the stones. So what follows is a wicked balls-out fight between the Infinity Gauntlet-wielding Thanos and the Infinity Stone-wielding Avengers, as Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Hawkeye, Thor, and War Machine all have Infinity Stones. This fight also gives us a different dynamic than what was in Endgame, because as it was, they pretty much just rehashed the fight we already saw in Infinity War. Now at this point, you can have the Avengers somehow get a hold of an Infinity Gauntlet, snap their fingers, bring everybody back to life, and end with the giant conflagration just like they did in the movie Endgame. Or, if you want a more comic book ending, you can do this. With so much power being tossed around, it becomes pretty clear that the Earth, or maybe even reality itself, isn't going to survive the battle of 12 Infinity Gems. So, while looking at a picture of his daughter, Tony declares it's time for Plan B. So Ant-Man jumps back into the quantum field. Yes, he's got more Pym particles, he miscounted, or maybe Captain America got more, or it doesn't matter, he's just got more. Back in the battle, Captain Marvel comes streaming down out of the sky and slams into the battle. Everybody pushes their Infinity Stones to the max, and the whole world whites out. Meanwhile, in the quantum field, which is basically outside of time, Ant-Man meets himself from 5 years ago. Again, since the temporal mechanics don't seem to apply in the quantum realm, the two Ant-Mans touch and merge into a singular Ant-Man. This new Ant-Man, with memories of both Ant-Men, escapes the quantum field and shows up in Wakanda during the big battle at the end of the Infinity War. Armed with his knowledge of the future, Ant-Man gives Thor's arm a tiny little push, so instead of nailing Thanos in the chest, he chops off Thanos' arm instead, breaking his connection to the Infinity Gauntlet before he snaps his fingers. Ant-Man would then grow full size and talk to Thor about what just happened, and possibly making a joke about how he was supposed to push in the other direction, so Thor would have hit Thanos in the head. Meanwhile, some of Thanos' warriors slap a robot arm on him or something so Thanos can participate in this final climactic battle. Back on Titan, Tony is still berating Doctor Strange for giving Thanos the Time Stone. After a moment of not listening to him, Doctor Strange declares that they're all still alive and it's time for round 2. Back in Wakanda, the battle has devolved into a giant game of keep-away as everyone is trying to get their hands on the Infinity Gauntlet. At this time, Doctor Strange and the rest of the heroes on Titan poured into the conflagration. Heck, maybe even Captain Marvel comes streaking out of the sky again because Nick Fury has finally learned out what's going on in Wakanda. So while it's not everybody in the kitchen sink like it was in Endgame, it's good enough for me. Now at some point, maybe the Hulk or Thor or Captain Marvel manages to beat down Thanos. And it's at that moment that someone finally manages to get their hands on the Infinity Gauntlet and put it on. A hush draws over the crowd, and we see it's Nebula. She looks at Thanos and says, "Who's God now, Father?" And she snaps him and his armies out of existence. From here, she can do two things. One, she can unmake the Infinity Gauntlet, returning Gamora and the Vision to life, or she could destroy the Infinity Gauntlet and they would remain dead. Each one has decent future story potential. Later at an after party in Wakanda, Doctor Strange and Ant-Man, the only two people who know what would have happened if Thor hit Thanos in the chest, talk about what just happened. Tony joins them and still asks Doctor Strange what was the business with the Time Stone. To which Dr. Strange would reply something along the lines of, he needed to give Thanos the Time Stone so Tony Stark could help Ant-Man get out of the quantum field. Tony would say something back like, that literally makes no sense, and Ant-Man would just smile, pat him on the back, and just tell him he's going to be a great dad. He would then walk over to Bruce Banner saying something along the lines of, hey Bruce, have you ever thought that the Hulk might actually be the answer instead of the problem? Then Tony, contemplating what Scott just said, will look over at Pepper. The end. Well, there's my 2 cents on it all. I give you something you didn't see before, with some hot Infinity Stone on Infinity Stone action. There are no crazy paradoxes, as the only hiccup in time happens outside of the time stream. And everyone gets a happy ending, without aging 5 years or more, dying or getting fat and crippled. I'd say that's a big win-win-win, Russo brothers. So, just call me next time. I'm in the book. Wait, no, I'm not. I don't think anyone's in the phone book anymore. As for you, dear viewer, thanks so much for watching. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on my concept. And I'd love to hear what you would do to fix the paradoxes of Endgame. Because hell, that's what fandom is all about. And until next time, aim for the head. Or is it, don't start with the head? I always get those two confused.